The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Corporation.
Hot topics, food, fun, entertainment, and serious business. Live Las Vegas with Rikki Cheese.
So glad you joined us for another edition of Live Las Vegas with Rikki Cheese. We got a little bit of everything here in the show today, and now we're going into the holidays. You know, a lot of people are, some people are sad, some people are mad, some people are really joyous, and people are just all over the map. And so we've got a little bit of something for you guys today, something to make you smile and something to make you think. And if you're one of those folks who are like me, who panic when it comes to getting like your food ready and what can you do and how can you cut corners, later on in this show we're going to have Chef Michelle Basinski back on to give you some really nice, those are going to be kind of hot topics if you take a look at it from a cooking standpoint, of how to make your life easier as you entertain for the holidays. And if you're one of those folks who, for whatever reason right now, you're feeling kind of down, well, this is going to pick you up. We have got Lynette Macauley, who is the creator of Kimo, the star of Kimo Leads the Way. He's a wonderful little green stuffed bulldog, and you can see the pictures all around. Bullfrog. You can see the pictures all around us. I had to keep going through the script and not putting bulldog down because it looks like bullfrog. He's a bullfrog. But because he's green, we can't actually hold him on the set because he would disappear into the green screen. So we've got the pictures so you can see how cute he is all around us. And I was telling Lynette the story the other day. We were shooting another story with her for the Now Report. The first time I actually saw Kimo in person was under the desk here at the station. And for the longest time, I wanted him. And I was going to snatch him. But then I thought, I'm a grown woman, and there's probably going to be a child who comes in here who's going to want that beautiful little stuffed animal. And then he disappeared. And then you gave me one. I'm so happy. Yes. So tell us the story behind Kimo and Kimo Leads the Way.
Okay, well, thank you for having me on the show, Rikki. Kimo with a K was originally on a t-shirt I designed about 25 years ago to remind our Pacific Islanders at the Hawaiian event, the Ho'olaulea, once a year, to hang loose, no worries, I got your back, listen to the teacher, I hear ya.
And it's spelled different. It's K-I-M-O.
Kimo with a K.
With a K.
Yes, and Kimo means James or Jim. I used to live in Hawaii, so I love that name. It's just a popular name, and 25 years ago it was, you know, easy peasy. And so then I decided to make those adult t-shirts for children. And the adult t-shirt said Aloha Las Vegas, which is now we're the 9th island. And for the children, though, I wanted how's it, I'm Kimo, so the local kids can know that Kimo's there to remind them to hang loose. It's on their t-shirt. So cute. So I did that for several years in the Hawaiian events and some concerts here in Las Vegas. And I keep thinking about Kimo for the last 4 or 5 years to bring him back as not just a good-looking, handsome bullfrog wearing an aloha shirt doing the shaka sign, as an ambassador of hope and encouragement for children and their families as they're going through the challenges of their treatments. And that's how it started. And also that would include the booklet. We have a booklet of positive affirmations, easy for children to read, easy for adults to read. And that's how we're here today. It's been a year and a half, 2 years since we started Kimo, and we are donating Kimo to several of the organizations that work with children, specifically the Nevada Childhood Cancer Foundation. They're like family to us. We participate in their Danny Gans run. And it's been an interesting journey because originally it was for children, and now we want to be able to give Kimo to adults because everybody loves Kimo. Kimo's even, if I can give a plug to Boyd.
Yeah, sure.
Kimo is now available at Boyd Gaming at the California Hotel and Main Street Station in their gift shop. And it's not part of the nonprofit part. They just like him because he's a good reminder. He's cool.
He's just cute.
And then during this journey, I discovered that it's really about my mother.
Right.
And I didn't know that at first. And
So tell us the story about, but before we get to that, that's the reason why I started this show with talking as an adult, because I actually felt somewhat guilty that I was coveting Kimo. As you know, as a full-grown woman, I thought, well, I shouldn't want that. But then I thought, he's cuddly and he's comforting, and why wouldn't? And John Stiles, just when he had our station manager and owner, he's over there hugging Kimo right now. So
perfect.
When we went and we interviewed you yesterday for the Now Report.
Yes.
And that was beautiful. We should have put your picture of your mom. She's so gorgeous. Maybe we can get that on later on. But
okay.
This, for you didn't realize it was such a personal journey when you started.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. A mentor of mine asked me about 2 years ago, as the new Kimo is being made and the booklet's being published, that she said, "Why are you really doing Kimo?" And I said, "Well, it could take the edge off of chemotherapy, because Kimo with a K is handsome and for their parents." And she said, "No, that has nothing to do with it." And so several times she said, "Why are you really doing this? You got to think about it." And I did. I started saying, okay, why am I really doing this? And I was getting ready for work, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I've heard that expression before, and it did. It hit me that when I was from 12 to 14 watching my mother suffer with cancer, she had colon cancer, I didn't know what to do for her. My mother was so beautiful and lovable, and all I could do was hug her. And I realized, because I felt so lost, because I didn't know what to do for her, that if I had a Kimo to say, "Mom, Kimo's gonna, puts a smile on your face. Kimo gets your adrenaline going and the endorphins for healing. And here's a booklet that possibly the booklet would change your thinking." But 53 years ago, you didn't talk about your feelings.
Right.
You didn't.
There were no Oprahs or Dr.
No.
Phil's or that type of thing. People just soldiered on. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I tried when we were interviewing you. I kept trying to get my head around that, because in my family we're very verbal. I mean, everybody's chatter. What was that like, to have to be so quiet and not be able to really express the pain that you had going on inside?
It was helpless. It's a helpless feeling, because we didn't understand all the nuances around her, if that's the right word, around her treatments and her medication for pain. It was awful, and I used to just always hug her and say, "Mom, I'm going to be just like you someday," because she was really, my mother was a showstopper, so beautiful, and in show business, and my dad too. And so now, that day, I cried for the first time for my mother.
That day,
Because
for the first time in all these years?
Yes. Yeah, I didn't even cry for her when she died, because we were constantly reminded that, your mother's in pain, and you don't need to cry. She's the one that's in pain. And my mother never complained. She did not complain to my sister and I. I don't remember her ever complaining, to me anyway. And so it was very dark. And, nowadays, when you find out somebody has a life-threatening illness, there's people to talk to you and help you get through it and cheer you on, and then it was a void. Right. It was just a void, and probably lost some of my 12 to 14-year-old what would be normal for that age, because I watched my mother slowly, get so thin and nonverbal, and it was horrible. It was horrible.
And not to be able to talk, and you said you and your sister, I mean, have you talked about it now, years later?
Oh,
had a chance? Yeah.
Yes. And so, yeah, she, we both kind of like have different versions of the
Sure.
same mother,
Sure.
and we're twins.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
yes, I have a twin, and we look like neighbors. You know, you'd never think we were twins. Maybe neighbors, but our voice sounds alike.
Uh-huh.
And so we both have our perceptions of what was going on then.
I always say that, in any family, everybody has a different childhood. And everybody has a different relationship with their parents.
Yes.
So it's like, I like it when we all get together and nobody's got the same story. I mean, there's like a version of the story. Like every cheese story has a little mustard seed of truth. And then however the story has been told over the years, if you weren't actually in the room when it happened, there's no telling.
There's no telling.
But it's also your perception. I mean, because we even within our siblings, we have unique relationships.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So what's been the response in the community from Kimo?
Oh, I've had several kinds of responses. I've discovered that adults like to buy Kimo for gifts, because people like frogs, or they just think he's so cool. I have my adult friends that have purchased Kimo, and they have Kimo on their desk. So if they, they have a challenging moment or so,
Right.
so they tell me that he's a constant reminder, just hang loose. With everything that's going on now, we really have to hang loose and focus on what can we do to make our lives better and keep good thoughts. Another scenario with Kimo, an adult friend bought Kimo for her sister who was dying of cancer. She said, I just want to do something for her. So her sister smiled for the first time when my friend walked in with Kimo.
Wow.
And another friend was given a Kimo who was in a terrible accident and almost lost his leg and really took a break from life and his friends. So my friend got Kimo for her friend, and he got back in the game of life. He said, all right, And then I have kids when I do my events in the Hawaiian community here. The kids know Kimo. There's pictures of the kids on our KimoLeadsTheWay.org, and there's pictures in the beginning, there's pictures in the gallery, and they all say, see, I told you Kimo was going to be here. So he is becoming a celebrity the way I was hoping, and
Right.
it's starting to happen. I get this elderly couple came and purchased a Kimo because they heard of a 8-year-old who has brain cancer, and they just want to get him a Kimo in the booklet. I have to think about it. I got an email from a man that wanted Kimo. He wanted a Kimo for each of his children, just because he's cool. He's from Hawaii,
Right.
and he wanted to put, instead of Kimo on there, each child's name.
Oh, how neat.
I know, and so I'm always learning. I probably could have said, well, let me get back to you on that.
Right.
I'm thinking, well, he's got to order minimum amount
Right.
from China, and so.
Well, tell me about that part of the journey too, because there's two things that came out in the interview with you. One, how many people are stepping forward to help you out? I always love it about this community. It's like when somebody comes forward with a really good cause, it's almost like moths to a flame. All of a sudden, people just come out and start supporting you because.
Yes.
And then the woman who manufactures them in China, when she said she was taking your lead, so tell us about that.
That story, okay. I do have cheerleaders in all shapes and sizes that show up for our run for the Nevada Childhood Cancer Foundation, the Danny Gans Run for Champions. And so last year we had 59 volunteers. They all bought our Kimo Leads the Way t-shirts. You can see them on the KimoLeadsTheWay.org, running and happy. And this year we had not as big of a turnout. However, we were the most spirited, and that's good too.
Sure.
It's for the kids.
Yeah.
It's for the kids. And so when I decided that yes, I am going to do this because somebody just said the right words. It was the right time. The moon and the stars were aligned. He said, you should do chemo, because I was telling him about that I wanted to do it. And the way he said it, he said, this sounds like it could be something. And that moment I decided. So that was May 8th, 2015. So doing the paperwork, trademarking the names for books and clothing and plush. I then had to find somebody to make chemo. So I went to the ASD show, and I knew where all the manufacturers of plush animals were in their section there. So I knew I was going to have to take the journey and find out what do I do. And I did talk to about 4 of the major plush manufacturers, and the one that really resonated with me was this woman. Her name is Patty Lou, and I was watching her deal with a very, in my opinion, very aggressive and loud, all business with a little edge about them. Okay. And I would have said, see ya, gotta go. And Patty was so calm and was focused on why she's there for her business she's had for 25 years. And I said, I want to work with her. I didn't even speak to her yet, but I just knew the way she was so in charge of this guy that was twice her size. So I did end up speaking with Patty, and I showed her the T-shirt of chemo, and I said, I'd like to get chemo about 9 or 10 inches, or just a big chemo. And she thought he was very cute. She said, well, what are you going to do with this stuffed animal? I said, well, I'm going to give him away to the children and their families. So she said, oh, you don't have to have such a big chemo. That's not necessary. And we talked about the good size. So she didn't like.
She could have just said, go ahead and taking your money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But there was something about her, and it turns out that she's originally from China, and she moved to Hawaii for 10 years and got her degree in social work. So that was, a touchy-feely kind of giving back occupation. And so we worked together on chemo, and at some point they wanted him to be talking, and she loves the whole concept. So after about 8 or 9 months, I'd keep in touch with her, tell her where chemo is, like the Ronald McDonald House in Las Vegas, the Candlelighters, the American Cancer Society, and she said to me, you've been taking my lead to make chemo, and she said, now I want to take your lead. I do not have time. I have a little over 400 children's backpacks to give away. And I would like those agencies that already have chemo to get those backpacks. So I told all the agencies, and we got the correct address and whose attention, and they got those backpacks. It was a little over 400, and just age appropriate for all those children. And they had different animals on the backpacks, and they were soft and for little school people.
Yeah. And I didn't even realize until this year, because I haven't really done a lot of just day of air reporting, that the backpacks are a huge deal for kids now. I mean, they're carrying between their books and their phones, and especially for homeless kids, that might be the only place that they can store anything. So these kids here in Clark County, these free backpacks mean a lot.
Yep. That with the agencies, So it's just something extra for them to feel good and put their special, toys or letters or get well cards or whatever their special treat is that they have to keep. Yes. So we do keep in touch, and I let her know how things are going. And we have to do some more fundraisers. It's been an interesting journey, and I'm learning lots about. We have to do some more fundraisers. So we did have our.
Let's be honest about this. The chemo, he's $25 a pop.
Yes.
And so far, most of the money for this project has been coming out of your own pocket. You've been financing this yourself. I mean, you've gotten some donations,
Yes,
but
yes.
you really need to fundraise.
Yes, absolutely. And my board, we're going to talk about this again. I did have one fundraiser last year, and that has actually kept me going all year because I don't get paid. I work from my home. So thank goodness my husband is a cheerleader. He is more than a cheerleader.
Yeah.
He's the one that put the Shaka sign on Kimo.
Really?
Because, yes, I wanted to create a T-shirt that would be Hawaiian Las Vegas 25 years ago, before the Ninth Island concept. And I thought it'd be great to have King Kamehameha dealing blackjack, and the people he was dealing blackjack to would be locals. You know, you could tell with their slippers and their T-shirt. And so I thought, I'll go down and talk to the aunties in the gift shops downtown and see what they think.
Right.
Aunties meaning that from Hawaii, older and working there. And I told them about this idea. Oh no, you can't do King Kamehameha dealing blackjack. That would be so sacrilegious. No. Okay, and they didn't give me another suggestion, but I did speak to the man, Larry Yamaguchi, who owns the Aloha Specialties. He's since deceased. And I told him that idea. He says, you know what you can do? You can get a bullfrog on a T-shirt with its mouth open, because there's certain cultures that believe that to be prosperity and good luck and longevity. So I said, okay. So that was a suggestion. You know, forget King Kamehameha. No disrespect to
Not a good idea.
And so I asked my husband. He knew how to play with the computers, whatever we had 25 years ago.
Right.
And he was able to create the Kimo, which looks a little different than now, but he did have his mouth open. And he put the Shaka sign, and all of a sudden he really became interesting.
Yeah.
And so my husband, Don, my hunka burning love, make no
Shout
mistake,
out.
shout out, did that
Yeah.
for Kimo. So
Now, tell me about this love affair with Hawaii. How did that develop? And so, I mean, and you're like totally known here in the Hawaiian community,
Yes,
even though
yeah.
people say she's not Hawaiian, but she is Hawaiian.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And they call me Auntie Lynette, and sometimes they call me the Ninth Island lady, or they call me the Kimo lady, because they don't always know my name. And I love the Hawaiian community. I'm in four clubs. I'm in the Hawaiian Civic Club. I'm with the University of Hawaii Alumni Association. I'm with the Ninth Island Cultural Club.
Uh-huh.
And then we have the Kimo Club. So that happened back in 1959, and our teachers, because Hawaii and Alaska became states in the same year, and so we had to do a report on either Alaska or Hawaii. And Alaska, which is beautiful, I've done a cruise there, it's absolutely gorgeous. The cold weather and the igloos versus the beach, volcanoes, local boys. At 9 years old, I'm looking at the local boys, and the legends and the kings and queens just really resonated with me. And since 1959. I even had a Jewish wedding with Hawaiian music up at the Riviera almost 30 years ago. And my roommate's children were in our wedding because I was 39 getting married for the first time.
Right.
So I didn't have all my girlfriends. I had a lot of kids and children. And so yeah, I love being around the Hawaiian community. It's like home, just without the beach. We have all the restaurants and the concerts and my friends and talk story. There's a lot of Hawaiian happenings
Yeah.
in Las Vegas, the ninth
It's
Hawaiian
a
Island.
very, very big community.
Yeah.
So how can anybody get in touch with you to get involved with Kimo Leads the Way?
Our number is, go get your piece of paper and pencil. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 702-493-3002. And our nonprofit is Kimo with a K, KimoLeadsTheWay.org. And if you know an agency that is working with adults that are not well or maybe a little confused, that you think Kimo would cheer them up and not even know why, we would like to know about, those places, and also for children. And you can always go to donate to KimoLeadsTheWay.org. There's a donate button on there, which would be so much appreciated.
Yeah.
And this is just like a year and a half of getting on board, and we've met some wonderful, amazing folks in our community.
Yeah. And come on, we're coming up on it's
holidays.
Christmas. This
Yes.
is a great Christmas gift. So keep that in mind, folks.
And I will deliver. You just give me a call. You could pay for it online if you'd like. You don't have to pay for postage here in Las Vegas. I will deliver. Henderson, Pahrump, wherever we can get the Aloha spirit and the Shucka sign.
Okay, how do I do it?
Just your two, your thumb
two?
and your pinky,
Okay.
and put the rest down.
Okay.
Do we have time for a story of the Shucka sign?
Yeah, really quick.
Okay. So when I started putting the information together for the website, I wanted to know, even for myself, where did the Shucka sign start? So there's various versions, and the one that I liked the best was that back in the day when the whalers were coming into Lahaina, and after being out on the sea for a long time, and they're coming in, so this is what would happen. And, to come on in. But after a while, the whalers, it's so dangerous, they were losing arms and legs and fingers. So the guys that were, waiting for the ships would go like this because they didn't have this. So they'd go. That's the version I heard. I like that version. So it's going back to the whaling days.
Thank you so much for being on. You've made us smile. You've brought Kimo. You've made us smile. And, just
Thank you.
Spread Kimo out there. Spread joy in the world.
Yes.
Hang out, folks. Hang loose. We'll be right back.
Retrospects is a purveyor, if you will, of historical eyewear. Retrospects is located on the second floor, right across from the chandelier bar. So when you look at our store from the outside, it looks like there isn't much going on in here. And then you open the drawers. We actually carry authentic pieces from the late 1890s to the 1990s. We have almost 3,000 pieces in here. It's like a treasure trove reveal. We do have a collection of new glasses that we have reproduced ourselves. It's called the Cuthbert and Chen collection. The safe is our jewel. It's our baby. We love it. It's from 1903. Weighs as much as a car. It's solid steel. We use the safe to hold our most precious pieces, our museum collection, if you will. People come in to find glasses that are not something they're going to find everywhere else. Not something all their friends are wearing, and something that they can tell that story. We sell stories as much as we sell glasses. We have pieces that we can associate with very famous people from history, movies, special events that happened in the past. And some of the favorites are the Ray-Ban shooter that Johnny Depp wore in Fear and Loathing of Las Vegas, the beautiful frame France Parisian plastic aviator worn by Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon. Retrospects is not just about glasses. It's about the experience. It's about how these glasses make you feel. We are a full-service optical shop, somewhere where guests can come to get repairs, restoration, can put their prescription in, can get them a quick pair of sunglasses for the pool, and can give them a really great, just fun experience.
And the fun continues. Okay, we've got some relief for those of you who are just stressed out about getting your food ready, getting your entertainment plans ready for the holidays. Of course, Chef Michelle Basinski of M&M Love is back once again with her hot topic tips on how to take the stress off yourself. Okay. Maybe the biggest thing when we were talking about this in the green room before we came across was, turkeys. People plan these big elaborate meals and it just becomes so much work.
Well,
I always feel bad when I go to the parties where the people who are putting on the party are exhausted by the time the party gets started.
and that's unfair. That's people should all get together and do this. I mean, one person shouldn't always do all the dinners. I mean, I've yelled at my brothers and sisters because they've had my mother doing Thanksgiving for the last 30 years. I mean, I'm serious. When are you guys going to take over? I mean, when I was there, I was doing it, helping her at least. So, but no, don't do that to one person. That's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Or call me. Really,
Because
seriously.
she is one of the best caterers in the valley.
You want to make it easy, call
Right.
somebody else and have them do it, or go to one of the restaurants that gets it ready for you. Why do you should not put yourself through that kind of work.
Right.
I mean, unless you're very organized and very, you should never. If it's not fun, don't do it. Seriously, really. I mean, why feel bad at the end of the day and saying, why did I do this?
There's a question I've been wanting to ask you for the longest time, and I always forget when you're on, but I kept this top of consciousness. What do you do with all your stuff?
What do you mean, all
The
my stuff?
plates and the glasses, and where do you store all that stuff? Because I saw your truck, but I know that you do parties bigger than what your truck can
I have 3 pantries in my house. I turned a bedroom into a pantry. My garage is a pantry. I mean, and I just bought 2 new refrigerators, and I'm not talking refrigerators. I'm talking walk-in refrigerators you can put 6 people in.
Oh, wow.
I just bought 2 of those. And I mean, my garage has 2 of those refrigerators that you just walk in, you can six people can stand in that refrigerator. It's really awesome.
Wow. So tell us, for those folks who have not been following you, and shame on you if you haven't, how you got started, because your story of how you got here to Las Vegas, too, is pretty unique.
Well, yeah, I mean, Hurricane Katrina came, Hurricane Katrina is nothing now compared to some of these hurricanes that came by
Because you were
afterwards.
in Mississippi then?
I was in Mississippi. I was in Gulfport, Mississippi, and I live 6 blocks from the beach.
Wow.
What's funny is 5 blocks before the beach is there, and then there's this railway where the rail cars come through. It's like on a hill. So I live on the 6th block past the rail cars. So the water came through and went around my house, but I had towels that kept the water out, but it didn't destroy the houses like it did the 5 blocks above us.
Okay.
I mean, all those houses were completely gone. I mean, when the storm cleared and the light was out, everybody's walking around, and I was afraid to go over those railroad tracks because by that time the Air Force, the Navy, everybody it was under martial law, because people had already started looting, and I was like, oh my God. But yeah.
Do you have flashbacks when you see video now of these hurricanes, these recent ones?
When the first 2 years after I got here, I didn't even want to talk about it. That's how bad it was. People kept asking me, said, please don't make me talk about it. I don't want to. The only thing that got me through it was once I started going to school for being a chef, one of my teachers, he told us we had to write a report that something that affected our lives very much, and this Hurricane Katrina was something that I had never, but I got to write about it, and I did the report about it, and it was like
something you and Lynette have in common. Once you started writing about your pain,
Right.
it opened that
And
energy.
it lifted it, and then all of a sudden it was gone. I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe how fast. It was something I could explain because I was writing in my own words exactly how I felt instead of sitting there trying to explain, because people will look at you and like, oh, you're just making that up.
They have no idea.
They have no idea, seriously.
So now you were working for MGM, you and your husband, and they gave you guys a choice of where to come, and you decided to come to Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get to Las Vegas and decide, after a lifetime of cooking for your family, I'm going to be a famous chef.
Well, no, and I'm not famous, God.
Well, she's famous here on Live Las Vegas with
I
Rikki
don't know.
Cheese.
I don't know if I will
Applause,
ever
applause.
be famous. As long as I'm famous in my community, I'll be very happy with that. I mean, to me, you know the saying, "Home is where the heart is."
Yes.
That doesn't mean a building. That means the community within you where you live.
Right.
And as long as I can make myself that type of person, that's where I'm happy with. And I've gotten to the point, I'm so proud of how this community is.
Yes.
They work together. It's a strong community. Somebody needs help, they jump to it, and that's the kind of community I want to be involved with. That's charity work is very, very close to me.
Right.
I work with TIP, which is a trauma intervention program. I work with Chefs for Kids. And I try to help any charity that asks me for any kind of help. And I may not be able to give a lot of money, but with what I can do, like I'll give them certificates for free parties, that they'll make money on, and it goes in my name, but that's what I can do.
Right.
For them, certificates for dinners for 8 people, and it's a 3-course dinner, and I cook that at their homes for them. So I love that. I probably do more of that than I do business, but thank God I have a husband. He's a saint. I swear to God, he's a saint.
These two women were supposed to be on the same show. Saints as husbands, and they journal, and you both do big charity work with kids, because that's how you and I met.
Mm-hmm.
Was she was doing a cooking demonstration at a school that had a garden to teach kids how to do healthy meals.
From garden to table. Yeah.
Garden to table, and I was there to, I don't know, I even think we were supposed to really do just you, but it was another organization called Green Our Planet,
Right.
was also sponsoring it, and from them, because of you, I'll give you all the credit for this. That's when I found out that CCSD, you guys know how I feel about CCSD. I feel like CCSD gets just a bad rap, and I think they do a bad job of PR, of telling people of the good stuff that they do. And one of the programs that they do with Green Our Planet is they are building gardens in all of these schools, so kids learn what you were teaching them that day, how to take vegetables, produce out of the ground, not out of a grocery store,
Right.
and actually prepare the meals. And it was just so neat to watch their eyes just light up.
And the simplicity of it, because they think you have to know all this stuff. And the best thing to do when you're cooking is to go simple. I don't know, and that's really important during the holidays. Don't think of putting 20 things into a recipe when you can put 2 or 3 things and make it as simple as possible, because that's the best and the fastest, and it's not going to hurt anybody. I mean, if somebody else wants a lot of flavor, make them do it. I love Julia Childs. I swear,
Yes.
she's a god to me.
Yes,
all right?
right.
But I looked up a recipe for one of her recipes for a roast one time, and had 25 ingredients in there. I'm sorry, a roast doesn't need 25 ingredients. You can put 6 ingredients in it, just as easy, and get as much flavor. I mean, why make it so hard on yourself? And why shop all over town finding 25 ingredients that you may never find?
I actually have a couple of stories, because I was going through this period when I first was going into a plant-based diet, so I thought I needed all these herbs.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got like a little storage container full of herbs and spices I never use. I use, there's like 4 of them that I use all the time. So But when I was first getting started, I thought, because I was looking online and I was watching TV, and I thought, I need all this stuff and half a teaspoon of this and a tablespoon of that. And so I've got all these bags of spices and herbs I will never use.
Right.
And it's just taking up space in my pantry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and see, that's another thing. You also know that I work with Southwest Medical
Right.
for their lifestyle centers, and
Which they announced that she was their chef on this show, just so y'all know.
they just renewed my contract for next year.
Just
too.
so y'all know. Right here.
But the whole reason for those classes is to get everybody back in the kitchen, especially the seniors. I mean, because they're going out buying frozen food. Well, they wanted me to show them how they could go in the kitchen and make a meal within an hour and not be in the kitchen all day long and still have it taste good. So I taught them a few things that they could do. They don't need a whole variety of herbs or spices. I showed them a few things that I use for shortcuts, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Because I have one thing that I use all the time. Can I say what it is?
Sure.
It's Morton's Nature's Seasoning. It's got like 6 different things in it. It's got celery, salt, garlic, not salt, but pepper, all these different seasonings. Why buy them separate when you can buy one?
Right.
And they were like, oh my God. And plus we're trying to make it so it's money friendly, so they're not spending
Yes.
$100 on groceries.
I was watching you prep that meal. It was so fast. And I learned a couple of shortcuts, too, that I realized I'm kind of spending a little bit more time than I even really need to in the kitchen because... And I'm just mostly making vegetables.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. I was showing them that they can make a meal within 45 minutes and have a nice meal, a 3-course meal even. And they were going, oh my God, really? Seriously? I mean, one of their meals was salmon, pan-fried salmon
Which
with
was
rice.
delicious.
And I told them to add frozen vegetables to that rice at the same time while the rice is cooking in the rice cooker. And I said, then you have... There you go, the rice cooker, the vegetables, and the rice, and then the salmon right there. That's all you need right there. And then I would show them a fast dessert or how to do these things. Some of them didn't even know that certain things were available to them.
Right.
And everything that I showed them was able to buy at Albertsons, Smith's.
Anywhere.
They didn't have to go to Sam's. They don't have to go to Costco. And it was either in the freezer section, and I'm teaching them healthy ways not to use canned vegetables, but frozen vegetables, things like that. And they were like, I can't believe that this is available, that this can be done this quickly.
Right.
I just did soups this month. I did butternut squash soup and corn chowder. They loved it. I mean, they were taking it home and to take home. I had extras, And then I made them apple cranberry cobbler. They thought that was great. What was great is...
John's very excited.
What was so great, it was made with 4 products plus the cranberries, but everything was able to be thrown in one pan and cooked, and I used Bisquick. The oldest ingredient in God's... I was born and raised using Bisquick and Jiffy Mix. Yes.
Thank you. Exactly.
I mean, shortcuts. Don't make it hard. It's if there's a shortcut to it, use it. That's I'm telling you right now. Don't make it more difficult.
Let's talk about some shortcuts for the holidays. If you had to pick just three quick and easy meals that you could make for friends and family, what would they be?
Okay, for breakfast, or lunch or dinner, a quiche.
Ah, yes.
A quiche. I mean,
so easy.
And all you have to do is you can add meat, mushrooms, or if you're a vegetarian, put just vegetables in it. If you put pork like ham, sausage, before you put the pork into the egg mixture, scorch it in the pan. That way it brings out the oils and the juices, and then put it into the quiche and then bake it 30 minutes, 45 minutes at the most. You're going to have something that's going to feed at least 6 people.
Wow.
I mean, really.
Yeah.
And you can do that for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I mean, a quiche, really.
Well, honestly, I think that's one of the best inventions that ever came was the pre-made pie.
Right.
Because I grew up, my father was like a serious cook, And I just remember the days of making the dough and rolling it out and putting the flour down.
And some people don't understand dough, so the best thing is just buy it, the deep dishes, and buy it ready made, because if you overwork it, it's tough.
Yeah.
If you don't put enough grease in it, some people try and do. I'm sorry, pie dough has to have grease in it, okay? That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Not just butter, but a little grease. It's got to be flaky, So just buy it ready-made. It's easier, it's faster, and they're coming in 4-packs and 6-packs now.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah. This last time I bought the 4-pack, and and that was like a month ago, and I just used my last one the other day, and I don't know what it is about the puppies, but they love quiche. They just...
Everybody loves quiche.
They go
It's
crazy.
so
They're like, as soon as they smell it and they see it going in the oven, they're sitting there kind of going, and when is it coming back out?
and that's what I'm saying. Get the basic cheese, get the basic egg mixture, put it together, and then add whatever vegetables, and use frozen vegetables. You don't have to buy them fresh, because then you'll have to put them in the water and get them soft, and then buy them frozen. Throw them in there. They're ready, and like the meat or the mushrooms, poof.
And you talked about the last time you were here, a lot of people think that frozen is not good.
No. It's canned, because it's got all, if you buy canned vegetables, it's got all that salt and preservatives in it. Frozen vegetables nowadays are the next best thing to fresh, because they are flash frozen. There's no additives to them. And all you do, the only flavor is the vegetable and whatever you add to it. It's good, and it's year round. You can get almost any vegetable nowadays in the freezer section.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, if it's not fresh, go to the frozen section. It's the next best thing that you'll do for yourself. No salt, no high blood pressure, no nothing like that.
Right. Okay, the second meal.
Okay, well, let's talk about, I would say...
More breakfast?
Well, that was, you could use that for breakfast,
lunch, and dinner. Okay, so we're covered on those.
Okay, and then crock pot meals. Crock pot meals.
That's one of the best things that ever happened to the American public.
The best thing, because you can throw everything in one thing and just make the fastest crock pot meal. I mean, the meat can go in, the vegetables can go in, you add a little cornstarch. You coat the meat with the cornstarch and throw it in there with the vegetables, and you'll have a nice little gravy. Just put some stock in. You can use vegetable stock, beef stock, whatever kind of meat it is, and it's going to make you a nice creamy gravy. And if it's still not creamy enough at the end, then you add a little half and half, and there you go. You got it ready. It's done. But it's in one pot.
Right.
Easy, simple.
Yeah.
I mean...
So you can put all of your vegetables in there at the same time?
Oh, yeah.
Now, would you do frozen in this case as well?
Yeah, you can do frozen, because, like I said, they were flash frozen. So they're going to go boom. Oh, yeah, turkey gravy. Yeah, there you go.
John is turkey is John's favorite meat. He came in, he was so excited at my last show. He was like trembling. He's like, turkeys are on sale for 99 cents a pound. By the time I got there, they were all gone. I think that John just bought them all.
Well,
right?
Wait. Excuse me for interrupting.
Sure.
However, Winco has Jenny-O turkeys, 48 cents a pound.
Right.
Did you hear that, guys? Winco, Jenny-O turkeys, 48 cents a pound.
Right.
That's where I'm going after I leave here today.
And they also,
I have 3.
They also have right now a few of the stores are doing just the chicken breast. You don't have to buy that whole big turkey now. If you're just a small group of people, chicken breast is great. Not chicken breast, turkey breast. It comes in the turkey breast. And sometimes it's pre-cooked, sometimes it's not. If it's pre-cooked, then guess what? All you have to do is warm it.
Right.
And then slice it. So, but turkey breast is a nice secondary instead of doing the great big turkey and making yourself hard. If all you're going to eat is turkey breast anyway.
Right.
There you go.
Third meal.
Okay, third thing. I'm going to do a dessert.
Ooh.
I used this recipe for this group of people this month. Pear tart. Here's how easy it is. You buy a can of pears. Okay, and slice them yourself. I experimented with this because, like I said, I wanted to make this as simple as possible. So what I did is I took a bowl and I sliced the pears up. I put a little butter and brown sugar on the bottom and then put the pears on top, all sliced up. Then I took oatmeal, brown sugar, butter, and whatever else for crumble. Get cinnamon, and I put 5 spice in because I wanted that kick in there. And then I crunched that all
That's a Southern
together,
girl, then.
and then I put it on top of that. Put it in the oven at 375 for 45 minutes, and there's your pear tart. Boom. And I experimented with the canned because I didn't want them to have to go and poach pears and everything. I couldn't believe it. It didn't break them down. It didn't do anything. They were perfect. And I remember as a kid, my mom used to buy me canned pears all the time. I'm sorry. All you do is drain off the juice and put those little canned pears in there. I sliced them. You can dice them. You can put them in whole. Doesn't matter. And just put the crumble on top, 45 minutes at 375, and you have a beautiful, beautiful dessert.
And I will admit that I'm the person who drinks all of the juice off of the...
the heavy syrup? Yeah.
They used to drive my siblings crazy because I would cook and it's like, hey, if I'm baking, I'm drinking the syrup. I'm not sharing the syrup. I'm waiting for that part.
Well, you know what you can do with the syrup? You put it in a pan and turn it on and get it warmed up. Add a little cornstarch to it. Put some cinnamon or whatever in it, and there's a little. You can put a little bit of half and half in. Stir it together, and there you go. There's your sauce for top of the tart.
Ooh, but then again, you can just toss the whole like this
and
just
drink it. Yeah, but I'm serious. I mean, well, it was like that's 5 ingredients. That's
Right,
what
exactly.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
And there's
In
no
no
muss
time.
or fuss.
Right.
And you can make that tart ahead of time or the day before. And
You just pop it in the oven and
Right.
you're good.
If you want to make it healthy, instead of using whipped cream, guess what I used? I used honey yogurt from Greek Gods.
Ooh.
And it was awesome. Took away the sweetness that you thought it might have, but it's awesome. It's just the most beautiful thing.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on the show today. I know I got you just in time because by next week,
Oh, yeah.
you won't even, we won't even be seeing you. Right.
My family, yeah. Now, I'm still available if somebody needs Thanksgiving emergency dinner.
Right.
But
M&M Love.
M&M Love at MNMPrivateChef.com. So that's my website, so you can see what I do. My email is amb1chef@cox.net if you just want to get a hold of me right away. And my phone number is 702-280-1460. That's my direct number. Now, if you don't leave a message, I can't call you back.
Right.
If you email me, make sure you tell me why you're emailing me, because a lot of people email me. I'm getting junk mail now. And these robocallers, please
Right.
leave a message.
Right. Well, just so you guys know, and I always admit this as much as possible, so you know this is my MO. Most of the guests who appear on my show, I stalk them. I see them in the street, I see them in the store, I see them at some sort of a social event, and it's sort of like, will you be on my show, please? And in Lynette's case, I stalked her at an empowerment meeting for businesswomen. And in her case, I saw her driving down the street,
Yeah,
and I
she saw
stalked her.
She saw my van driving down
so
the street.
if you ever see me or you see my dogs out and you wonder why I'm on your bumper, probably it's because I want you to be on my show. So don't get mad. I'm so glad you joined us for this edition of Live Las Vegas with Rikki Cheese. It's going to be a great holiday season, folks. So get out there, enjoy, get Kimo, let him lead the way. Go get in touch with Chef Michelle Basinski if you want to get something catered. She does parties of all sizes, so don't think that it's
Two or
something too
less,
small.
yeah.
Right? She can come to your house and cook in your own kitchen, so you don't even have to travel.
And I teach classes
And
too.
she teaches classes too at Southwest Medical. Their center for, what is the actual title?
It's called Lifestyle Center.
Lifestyle Centers. And there's 2 here in town, one in the west and one in the east. So most of my guests are just getting out there. You guys get out there. You guys have fun. But, of course, make sure you come back next week for Live Las Vegas with Rikki Cheese. And remember, I might stalk you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.